I laughed when my partner realized I had a gunshot wound. My partner Dean joined the force fresh from the academy and was paired with me because of my seniority. The worst part was how new and fresh he was, as we finally caught our breaking and entering suspect who fled at the sight of us. We both stood in the middle of the sidewalk in the ghetto parts of the city. The darkest parts of the city resided here with criminals left and right. Then Dean radioed in for backup after we already cuffed and had the suspect under control. With the breaking and entering suspect 2 blocks south, Dean said into the radio as he breathed heavily like this was a cab company. I slapped my hand over my face. The issue was, we didn't need a call, request for backup. The suspect was already in custody and we had the situation under control. No backup needed. Cancel the order for backup. Not injured. Cuffed and under control. I radioed in, glaring at Dean, having already caught my breath. He started to go red in the face from embarrassment and my stare. The warehouses towered over both of us. Copy that, echoed through our radios. We don't call it in unless we need help in a chase, injury, death, or active request, moron. I say as calmly as I could to Dean. Sorry, Adam, he muttered like a kicked dog. Why was I stuck with this newbie again? Oh yeah, punishment for making the last newbie cry and quit within the first 10 minutes of being partnered with me. Could I get rid of Dean as easily? I stare at Dean before shaking my head, doubtful, unless something major happened. 2 weeks prior to Dean was another newbie partner, Charles, who was bright and bubbly, completely the opposite of me. I had more of a silent approach with being considered a functioning mute. We met after our morning meeting at headquarters. My head glared at me with clear intentions of keep this one on longer than 5 minutes. I stood up and made my way over to Charles with a stern frown. Adam, I grumbled out. Charles, sir, it is a pleasure to be working with such a well-seasoned officer. To learn under you is such a pleasure, Charles said in a bubbly and excited voice. Stop being a suck-up and shut up, I state. I could already feel a headache coming on. Do you have an off button? I grumbled out roughly. Besides a bullet to the head? Charles's eyes widened the longer and more I spoke. My head had just walked in as Charles burst into tears. My eyes narrowed in annoyance. That's how my brother died, Charles choked out. Wrong brother then, slipped out before I could stop it. Charles, without hesitation, punched me in the face before turning to our head of department. I quit, Charles said, sobbing as he rushed out of the room. So, here I am 2 weeks later, stuck with another newbie, Dean. I could hear my head of department in my mind. Mess this up and you will be put on leave with no pay till I say so. Dean, at least, wasn't a huge talker. He just tried to do absolutely everything by the book when it was in unnecessary circumstances like now. On our first real call with the breaking and entering suspect situation we are handling at this moment. Currently, at present time, a problem came when gunshots rang around us. I immediately covered Dean as he runs for the cover of a parked vehicle with our suspect. Then Dean covers me as I go for cover behind a building's wall. You okay? Dean yelled out as he continued shooting. Alive and calling backup, I responded right back. Out of bullets, I'll reload and call it in. Cover us! Without hesitation, I do. I step out behind the wall and start shooting at the person shooting. From the building's second floor window, I noted. It was maddening to be put in this situation again. Dean finally reloaded and took over so I could reload. I rolled behind the building again and reloaded my gun. ETA 5 minutes, Dean yelled out to me. So, 4 minutes to make this guy's life hell, I yelled straight back. Dean didn't know what that meant until I ran into the firing zone to enter the abandoned warehouse. What the heck? Dean screamed behind me. As quickly as I could, I climbed the stairs. My breathing was heavy as I spotted the suspect. He was still firing at Dean. I aimed my gun at the person. Police! The man didn't hesitate to turn and shoot at me. Within a second, I pulled the trigger and the aim was true. The man died with a headshot and fell out the broken window down onto a car. I groaned as I clenched my gut. Blood seeped between my fingers. The man had gotten a lucky shot. I moved slowly out of the building. Dean was immediately by my side. Are you okay? I'm alive, I stated roughly as I noted the original suspect in our marked car, unarmed. I start chuckling at the irony of someone either trying to kill our suspect or set him free, while the man who died had failed and the suspect was still in custody. You're bleeding, Adam, Dean says in worry as my shirt starts becoming drenched with my own blood. I just laugh at Dean's worry. I try and wave Dean away as I continue laughing. I'm fine, as I shake my head at Dean. You were shot, Dean exclaimed in fear. Give it about a year and you'll start your own collection soon, I say laughing and shake my head. Dean stares at me with deer in the headlights look. Well, what? Dean stuttered. You work in the ghetto, kid. If you make it to retirement, you are a dang lucky son of a gun. This is my 5th gunshot wound, I explain, still chuckling as I shake my head. The whole time you've worked here? Dean yelps out. I grin toothily at Dean as I responded. This year, the head of the department stares at me in my bed in the hospital room. You are the worst to be around with the newbies. Turns out Dean had quit that day.